In the world of professional football, news breaks with the force of a blindside blitz. Trades, injuries, and signings dominate the 24-hour news cycle, each a discrete event analyzed and then quickly replaced by the next. But on a seemingly ordinary Tuesday afternoon, the tectonic plates of the NFL, celebrity culture, and familial legacy shifted, not with an official press release from the Cleveland Browns, but with a single, enigmatic post on Instagram. The Cleveland Browns had, in a move of calculated risk and potential high reward, signed rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders to be their new backup. Yet, it was his mother, Pilar Sanders, whose 5-sentence social media post sent a shockwave far beyond the shores of Lake Erie, transforming a standard roster move into a national saga of ambition, protection, and intrigue. The post itself was a masterclass in ambiguity. Against a stark black background with elegant gold lettering, Pilar wrote, "The board was always set for this. The pieces are now moving as they were destined to. Some are content playing checkers in the light, but the real game is always chess in the shadows. The queen will always protect her king. Watch this move." There was no tag, no direct mention of Shedeur, the Browns, or the NFL. But for anyone following the meteoric and often controversial rise of the Sanders dynasty, the message was as clear as it was ominous. The Queen, a title Pilar has long embraced, was making her presence known. Her king, Shedeur, was not just another player entering the league. He was a protected asset in a long generational game. This single act of digital communication immediately ignited a firestorm of speculation. It was a declaration, a warning, and a mission statement all at once. It spoke to the family's us-against-the-world mentality, a philosophy honed by their patriarch, Deion Coach Prime Sanders, and now seemingly championed by their matriarch. As Shedeur Sanders, the flashy, confident quarterback from Colorado, prepared to step into one of the most scrutinized backup roles in the league, playing behind the controversial and high-priced Deshaun Watson, his mother's words hung in the air, framing his professional debut not just as a sporting achievement, but as a calculated gambit in a high-stakes game for legacy, power, and respect. This is the story of how a football transaction became a cultural flashpoint, all because a mother chose to speak in code, reminding the world that in the House of Sanders, football is never just a game. To understand the weight of Pilar's message, one must first understand the journey of the king she vows to protect. Shedeur Sanders is not a typical rookie. He has lived his entire life under a microscope, the son of a man who is not merely a Hall of Fame football player but a cultural icon. Deion Sanders didn't just play the game. He redefined what it meant to be a star athlete, blending unparalleled athletic prowess with an audacious, unapologetic personality. From his primetime persona to his high-stepping into the end zone, Deion was a brand before athlete branding was a billion-dollar industry. This was the environment in which Shedeur was raised, an incubator of extreme pressure and equally extreme privilege. His football journey was meticulously curated by his father, eschewing the traditional powerhouse college football programs that heavily recruited him out of Trinity Christian School in Texas. Shedeur made a groundbreaking decision to follow his father to Jackson State University, JSU, a historically black college and university, HBCU. This was more than a choice of school. It was a statement. Deion was on a mission to bring resources, attention, and top-tier talent to HBCU football, and Shedeur was his star exhibit. At JSU, he wasn't just the coach's son. He was the undisputed leader, the face of a movement. He thrived, throwing for nearly 7,000 yards and 70 touchdowns in 2 seasons, winning back-to-back SWAC championships and earning the Deacon Jones Trophy as the best player from an HBCU. He demonstrated poise, accuracy, and an uncanny ability to perform in clutch moments, all while carrying the weight of his father's ambitious project on his young shoulders. When Deion Sanders made the highly publicized move to the University of Colorado, a Power 5 program in Boulder, Shedeur, of course, followed. The transition was a seismic culture shock. The Sanders clan brought their Louis Vuitton baggage, and unapologetic swagger to a program that had won only one game the previous season. The national media descended, with some cheering the audacity and others decrying the perceived arrogance. In this new, harsher spotlight, Shedeur proved his talent was transferable. Against tougher competition in the Pac-12, he was electric, breaking school records for passing yards in a single season and leading the Buffaloes to thrilling, high-profile victories that captured the nation's attention in the early part of the season. However, his time at Colorado also exposed potential vulnerabilities that NFL scouts noted with keen interest. Behind a porous offensive line, he was sacked 52 times, a staggering number that raised questions about his pocket presence and his ability to read complex blitz packages at pro-level speed. While his accuracy and decision-making were praised, critics pointed to a perceived lack of elite arm strength needed to make every throw on an NFL field, particularly the deep-out routes against faster, more physical cornerbacks. He was a Rorschach test for scouts. Was he a product of a system designed around him by his father, a cerebral game manager with a high football IQ? Or was he a true franchise talent, capable of elevating a team on his own? The debate raged on draft boards across the league, making his eventual NFL destination a topic of intense speculation. The Cleveland Browns are a franchise defined by a history of quarterback purgatory and a perpetual state of almost there. For decades, the team has searched for a franchise savior under center, a quest that led them to make the blockbuster and deeply controversial trade for Deshaun Watson, signing him to an unprecedented fully guaranteed $230 million contract. With Watson as the entrenched, high-priced starter, the backup quarterback role in Cleveland is not merely a secondary position. It is a critical insurance policy and a potential lightning rod for public opinion. The team's decision to sign Shedeur Sanders was born of necessity and opportunity. Midway through the preseason, their presumed backup, a reliable veteran journeyman, suffered a torn Achilles, a season-ending injury that sent a ripple of panic through the front office. General manager Andrew Berry and head coach Kevin Stefanski were suddenly in the market for a quarterback who could not only learn their complex, play-action-heavy system quickly, but also handle the intense pressure of the Cleveland sports media and fan base should he be called upon. Shedeur, who had gone undrafted in the spring, a surprise to some, but a reflection of league-wide concerns about his transition to the pro game, had been a free agent, patiently waiting for the right opportunity. For the Browns, the signing was a low-risk, high-reward proposition. They could sign him to a minimal rookie contract, avoiding a significant financial commitment. The potential upside was tantalizing. Shedeur possessed qualities they valued: proven leadership, exceptional accuracy on short to intermediate routes, and a preternatural calm under pressure forged in the crucibles of JSU and Colorado. Coach Stefanski, known for his quarterback-friendly schemes, likely saw a player he could mold, a player whose intelligence could compensate for any physical limitations. Furthermore, the signing had an undeniable marketing and media appeal. The Sanders name generates clicks, headlines, and discussion. In a league driven by narratives, the story of prime time's son backing up one of the most talked-about quarterbacks in the league was pure primetime drama. However, the front office was also acutely aware of the potential downsides. Would Shedeur's celebrity and his family's high-profile nature become a distraction? How would he integrate into a locker room of established veterans? And how would he handle the inevitable comparisons to his legendary father, a shadow that has loomed over his entire career? The Browns were not just signing a quarterback. They were signing on for the entire Sanders experience. They were betting that Shedeur's talent and poise would outweigh the media circus that surrounded him. It was a calculated gamble, and just as the ink on the contract was drying, Pilar Sanders' Instagram post served as the first indication of just how high the stakes of that gamble truly were. Pilar Sanders' relationship with the Sanders legacy is complex and fraught with public history. Her marriage to Deion Sanders was a high-profile affair, and their subsequent divorce was a bitter, protracted, and painfully public battle that played out in courtrooms and across tabloid headlines. The custody fight over their 3 children, Shiloh, Shedeur, and Shalomi, was particularly contentious. Throughout this ordeal, Pilar has consistently portrayed herself as a dedicated and fiercely protective mother, fighting against a powerful and influential ex-husband. While Dion has largely controlled the public narrative of his children's athletic careers, Pilar has remained a constant, powerful presence in their lives, albeit a more private one. Her cryptic post, therefore, cannot be interpreted as a simple congratulatory message. It was a multi-layered statement, a piece of personal and public theater, with each line carrying a specific weight.